No introduction required. Y'all see the title. And yes, I got to talk to Coach Greg Adams again on this matter because Coach Greg Adams, if you're gonna speak on Mgtow, you need to be accurate and on point about what's being said and not leaning on your own understanding. And yes, and yes, fellas, you start. We're starting to see that the MGTOWs are now responding back to Greg Adams because of his misunderstanding. And to be honest, on the MGTOW side, the manosphere, it seemed like Coach Greg Adams wants beef with MGTOW, even though MGTOW, even though MGTOW has to be the only group in the manosphere that stood true to themselves, true to their cause, and didn't change up for nothing. In fact, MGTOWs actually saw what's going on in the manosphere, and some of us, myself included, started calling out the bullshit that's been happening. But, but uh, enough of me babbling on. Let's hear it, shall we?
So then you go over to the far left, which would be Mgtow, men going their own way. That really started around 2012, 2013, 2014, with a lot of content creators never showing their face.
Correction, Coach Greg Adams. MGTOW was created in 2008. No, 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 no. Let JD Miles give you a time frame about MGTOW, Greg Adams, because you claim that MGTOW started in 2012, 2013, 2014. No, Coach Greg Adams, you got to go way further than that. MGTOW was created in 2008. It only gained momentum. MGTOW only gained momentum in 2012, 2013, 2014. And if you need more information, MGTOW was not publicly known, and I repeat, MGTOW was not publicly known until 2016, 2017. With that said, let's continue.
So a lot of them were undercover. They had superhero names. Many of them were in the shadows. They never showed their face. They kind of hid behind profiles, and they were seen as very extreme. And I've been the one to tell you that Mgtow is definitely a result of the PUA. Okay, so a lot of people won't say it. So there are some groups, involuntary celibate, the incel, which you might say they're not manosphere, they're not red pill, but you have to understand, from the outside looking in, they're manosphere.
From the outside looking in, Coach Greg Adams, not the inside looking out. And second of all, and second of all, why are why are you motherfuckers trying to find a way to put involuntary celibate into men going their own way? Because at this point you're contradicting yourself. Oh, they all involuntary celibates and all this type of shit. So let me get this straight, Coach Greg Adams, and pay close attention. Does that also include the men, the men in the MGTOW space who were once married, now find themselves divorced? Does that also include the men such as myself who were fathers, who are fathers, and still taking care of their responsibilities as fathers? But in order for them to become fathers, Coach Greg Adams, they have to interact with women, right? See how you see how you See how that destroys your involuntarily celibate argument, Coach Greg Adams? The incels, the incels has a hard time dealing with women, has a hard time getting with women. But some way, you equate involuntary celibate to Mgtow, even though some of these men who are Mgtow completely contradicts that argument entirely. Let's continue.
From the outside looking in their manosphere. So MGTOW essentially was a collective of incels, red pill ragers, MRAs, young MRAs, and men that did not do well with pickup artistry. Men that did not do well with pickup artistry. So some of those MGTOWs were a lot of men that tried pickup artistry and realized it was a crock of shit. All right. And so
At this point, when it comes to this argument Coach Greg Adams has, he needs to have several seats and shut the fuck up forever. Because as I stated before in this video, if you have men that were married, men that were in relationships, men that are fathers, that completely destroys that incel argument. And and don't wait, kids, there's more. If that's the case, then guess what? If you had some MGTOWs who interacted, been in relationships, were married to women, as well as you got MGTOWs who still get some from women. And the best thing of all, we MGTOWs don't need no PUAs to help us out. Oh, this is what Coach Greg Adams fails to comprehend. He thinks that each and every MGTOW is a direct result it's a direct result of PUAs. No, Coach Greg Adams, this is what you believe. This is your own understanding at work. And which is clear to see that you still got a lot to learn about Mgtow. Because some of these Mgtows, I'm going to be brutally honest with you, Coach Greg Adams, we didn't need the PUAs at all. When it came to relationships, when it came to marriage, when it came to parenthood and fatherhood. This is what you believe, Coach Greg Adams. And no, you don't speak for Mgtow as a whole. So why is you talking, Greg Adams? Let's continue.
They migrated over there to say that shit doesn't work. If you guys study the manosphere, like I have been a student of, a lot of MGTOWs tried to do PUA. They tried to, and they failed.
No, Coach Greg Adams. You failed to do your studying and research when it comes to Mgtow, if that's what you think. And where the hell did you get the notion that Mgtows was trying to do PUA? Where did you get that bullshit from? Oh, that's right. That's right. This is Coach Greg Adams leaning on his own understanding and what he believes Mgtow is about. I mean, and it's funny how, as I said before, it's funny how you got all these retarded fucks thinking they got Mgtow figured out until they open their mouth and prove to everybody, us Mgtows included, that they don't know shit. Let's continue.
Or for worse. And a lot of them had a negative reaction to what these guys were teaching. So immediately there is destruction from within. So when I have this assessment, how the manosphere destroyed itself, there is a lot of destruction from within, and you have these splinter groups that section off that have a completely different purpose.
So how come when everybody was going after the manosphere, the main groups they were focusing on is the PUAs, the MRAs, and the incels. But when it came to Mgtow, they had little to nothing to say about the Mgtows. It's just that Mgtows was part of the manosphere, and they just wanted to clue them in. In fact, fellas, if you go look at if you go type in manosphere and look at the people who stand opposed to the manosphere, look who look which groups they talk about in the manosphere more than the other groups. Number one is the P. No. Number one is the involuntary celibates, the incels. They're the ones on the top of the list. The second rung is the PUAs. The third rung is men's rights activists. And the last group at the very bottom is the Mgtows. No, go take a look. Go take a look at that. Who who are the most talked about in the manosphere and who is the least talked about in the manosphere when it comes to the ones who stand opposed to the manosphere, whether they anti-manosphere, the feminists, the government, what may have you. But according to Coach Greg Adams, he thinks that MGTOWs are the main problem. No, we're not. In fact, in some cases, the ones who stand opposed to the manosphere barely has little to nothing to say about MGTOW. Period. In fact, the only time they got something to say about Mgtow is when they go after Mgtow on their own. But let's continue.
MRAs, these are people that were in their second marriage or they got screwed after their first marriage. A lot of them are older. Mgtows at the time tended to be.
And Coach Greg, and there you go. There you go. Coach Greg Adams just contradicted himself. Oh, first he says, first he claims that Mgtow consists of involuntary celibates or men that failed in the pickup artist category. Now he just sat there and contradicted himself, stating that so these Mgtows are men that failed their first marriage, their second marriage. But wait a second. If they were married before and failed, Coach Greg Adams, then please explain to everybody how Mgtow are involuntary celibate. Because what you're saying clearly makes no sense at all. You claim that they're incels, and which of course incels have a hard time interacting with women, getting with women, but yet you just openly stated that Mgtows had a first failed marriage, had a second failed marriage, but in order for them to even get married, what they had to do, interact with women and get into a relationship with women. You see how that completely contradicts your argument, Coach Greg Adams? We all could clearly see that. But let's continue.
Younger men who never married. And so they saw the MRAs and they listened to the MRAs and they gave them a reason to never get married. They also tried pickup artistry and it didn't work. So they migrated to Mgtow. What happened then is you have a group of involuntary celibates and these men are called incels. Now this.
Okay, Greg Adams, what the fuck is it? Are these men who've been through failed marriages, or are they involuntary celibate? And no, Greg Adams, you can't have them both. And this coming from the same motherfucker who swears up and down that he studied the manosphere. Well, if Coach Greg Adams studied the manosphere, then how come he's fucking up at this moment? How come he's showing everybody that he completely failed his studying at this moment? Oh, they're involuntary celibate. Oh, they've been through their first failed marriage, their second failed marriage, their third failed marriage, then going right back to saying that they're involuntary celibate. Which is it? Which is it, Coach Greg Adams? Are they are they involuntary celibate, or are they failed in relationships? And no, you can't have them both. Let's continue.
Is a pejorative around the world. So anybody in this Venn diagram is liable to be labeled an incel. Okay? If you're associated with any of
And let me destroy this incel bullshit once and for all, Coach Greg Adams, because at this point you're trying to mix oil and water together, in which everybody knows oil and water don't mix. The incels don't like none of the groups of the manosphere. And I'm just throwing that out there, which also includes Mgtow. They don't they don't incels don't like the MRAs, mix incels don't like the PUAs, which caused the incels to branch out into the black pill community, by the way. And most of all, the incels don't like the MGTOWs at all. And vice versa. We MGTOWs don't get along with the incels either. But try to leave it to Coach Greg Adams and all these retarded fucks trying so hard to try to make incels part of MGTOW. In the end, the only thing that does is make their asses look stupid. In which I gotta go back to this question. This question again. This question that they cannot answer. How can a group that does not get along with another group be one as a whole, be one and the same? And yes, Coach Greg Adams, I constantly ask this question and can't get an answer. Oh, that's right. Because there is no such thing. And mainly, and once again, I could tell that Coach Greg Adams is relying on the outside looking in to make these claims. But yet, the outsiders that are looking in, even they themselves is struggling and have a hard time trying to find a link between the involuntary celibates and the MGTOWs. Yes, they still looking for a link that's not even there. This is the reason why the outsiders looking in always make themselves look stupid. Trying to put two separate groups in one boat. No shit. Let's continue.
this shit on this screen, you're at some particular point liable to be labeled an incel. Why? Because it's a pejorative. It's easy to attack. These men want relationship.
And even easier to debunk. And don't get it twisted, Coach Greg Adams. Yes, you got some that's still trying hard and desperate to try to put incels in each and every boat, and it fails miserably. But then again, this just comes to how much Coach Greg Adams knows. He wants to speak on things, but don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. And yeah, they did try to pull that. And yeah, they did try to pull that stunt, but why did it fail? Hell, even the incels came out debunking that claim. That's like saying that. That's like saying that the Bloods and Crips are one as a whole, even though the Bloods and Crips are beefing with each other. How can two separate groups that has beef and war with each other be one and the same? Be be together as one. That don't make no sense. Now I see why you got some of the Mgtows clapping back at Coach Greg Adams because of this shit. He don't Coach Greg Adams don't know shit about Mgtow. So the question is why he got his mouth open. No, Coach Greg Adams, why you got your mouth open about Mgtow, but yet you don't even know shit about Mgtow? Is everybody's question. Can you answer that? I hope so. But I'm done with this bullshit and I'm out this bitch. Later.